Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be showing you some stamping techniques and DIY nail decals made with stamping. So we're going to be using the Maniology Wild Heart stamping kit. Those are some nail stickers. They didn't come in the kit, but they match this kit really well, so I purchased them from Maniology as well, and I'm just showing you what all comes in the kit. Now I'm gonna buff up a couple of the nails just to see how that affects them, like the stamping and everything going on. So on this first one I used 180 grit file and then buffed it with the 80 grit nail buffer from Nailcou. I just did those 3 nails. So I'm now using the P2 Nude Benefit Polish in Workout with Vicky. This is the Kiss Gel Strong Polish in Narcissism, I think is what you call it. I didn't even know that was a word, okay. When I first read it, I thought it said narcissism, but that's not what it says, so narcissism, I think. And then going in with another P2 Nude Benefit Polish. This one is in Breakfast with Tiffany. I love this color. Isn't it so freaking pretty? So I went in with 2 coats, and on a couple of the nails you'll see here I did 3 coats because when I went in on the second coat for the pinky, I did a real thick coat and I liked the way that it kind of leveled and smoothed out the nail. So then I just went back on the ring finger and the pointer finger and put on a thicker floated layer. And then just doing another layer of the Workout with Vicky color on the middle finger and the Narcissism color on the thumb. I was just testing to see which one I liked better, whether it was the white or the kind of cream, and I do like the cream one better. The white one was just too milky for me, which is nice for some looks, but not for this one. So here I am just using a regular black polish, and this stamper is not from the Maniology kit. This one I got from the YoungNails stamping kit. So I did not do a quick dry top coat on this finger. I wanted to see, again, I was testing to see the differences, so I just went straight in. So now I'm using the Queen, I believe is how you say the name. There's some weird words in this video, okay guys, sorry. I'll pronounce them the best that I can, but it's Queen Latex Tape Liquid Cuticle Guard. And I'm just going around the nails. I got that at Walmart. Actually, all of the stuff, the polishes that you've seen so far, I've gotten at Walmart, except for the Kiss Gel polish. I got that one at the Dollar Tree. This is the Seche Vite Quick Dry Top Coat. It is my favorite quick dry top coat. So now I am going in on all of the nails, except for the one that I've already stamped on, and just doing one thin layer of that top coat. For stamping, you do want to use a quick dry top coat before you go in stamping. So here I'm using acetone on a nail brush and going in and cleaning off the stamping plate. Someone said that you shouldn't use acetone to clean your stamping plate, but Maniology kit said you should. So I use it with the nail brush because it gets into those grooves really nicely. Then I wipe it off with a lint-free nail wipe. So you can see here, I waited too long and I pressed too hard with my stamper, so I didn't get a clean stamp. So instead of trying to stamp it down and getting frustrated, go ahead and wipe it off and start again. I'm actually going to leave it on the stamper because that is the start of my decal. So I'm just showing you the reverse side because this is the side that's going to be face up when we're done with the decal. This is a Pretty Woman nail polish. It doesn't have a name, so I apologize for that. If I can find it online, I will link it below. But it's a pretty burgundy color. And then I'm using the Sally Hansen Extreme Wear Hard as Nails polish in Coral Reef. Now I started with the burgundy color and this tiny little detail brush. I first went in and did the outside, like the petals of one of the flowers, because I wanted you to see the difference between having the petals done first versus the center done first. If you do the center first, you'll actually get a better result because you can overlap the petals on top of that center, so you'll get a cleaner middle. Whereas when you do the petals first and the center second, the center doesn't really show through, and you'll see that. So after I went through with the burgundy centers, I dotted all of the coral centers and then did the coral petals, and then I go back in with the burgundy petals. And always just checking that reverse image just to be sure that everything's looking good and you can make sure that you're getting the coverage that you need. So for the coral flowers, one layer was perfect, but when I looked at that reverse image for the burgundy flowers, I did notice that it was more sheer and I wanted it to be more opaque, so I went in with that second layer. That's why it's, again, important to make sure that you're checking that. And then I did decide to just go through with a second layer of the coral just to make sure that there weren't any missing areas and that it would have a nice opaque coloring. Now this is the Sinful Colors Alfresco shade, and I'm using this with a long liner brush. You just want to make sure you roll the liner brush and pull it through that polish, and I loaded up about halfway down the brush. So I'm just using that very flat against the stamper and pulling it gently to make those straight, clean lines. And every couple of lines, you'll just want to make sure that you wipe off the brush in the acetone, just so that you're getting nice, clean, beautiful, crisp strokes. Otherwise, it can get kind of thick and gummed up. So after that first layer, I just checked that reverse image, and I did see that I wanted to go back in to make it more opaque. So I added some fresh polish down so that you get the thin layer. But I didn't clean my brush, so you'll see here the lines start getting harder to pull and harder to make as crisp, so I will have to go and clean my brush again, and then also add some fresh polish in a separate area, because adding it on top of that thicker polish, it just makes it kind of reactivate that old polish, and it just ends up being too thick. So that's why I added it into that separate area, and then just made sure I really rolled my brush through and pulled it through so that I can load it up nicely and get the clean lines. So I checked the image again, and then I let that dry for a few moments or minutes while I cleaned up my work area. And then I'm going in with the Seche Vite Quick Dry Top Coat to seal in all of the work that I did. Now I am going to be doing more on this decal, but we want it to have that quick dry top coat so that everything I've done so far is protected. So now while that dries, I'm just switching back over to the stamping. And again, using the 50% alcohol to clean off my rubber stamper. So I'm just showing how you can tap your finger on the rubber stamper to get off the excess, or you can use the alcohol to get off anything you don't want. Now here, I waited again too long and I didn't press nicely, so it didn't come out right. I started getting frustrated, so I decided to let that sit and I'd go back in with my dried decal. Now using the P2 Volume Gloss polish in this color Old Maid, and because we put down that quick dry top coat, you can just go right on top of everything you've already done to get a beautiful background. So once I look at the reverse image, I was happy with how that is, so I set it aside to dry some more and move back to my stamping. You definitely want to be sure that you clean off your stamping plate every single time, otherwise it's going to get gunked up. Moving back to my decal, I'm using the Sinful Colors shade Supernova to do the burgundy flower backgrounds. So I go in with the first layer and then again check that reverse image, and I'll point out how there's some gap. Even though they're really, really tiny, they were right along the lines of those blue lines. So you can see how there was some also sheer areas, and I'm just pointing out the sheerness and those gapped edges. So because we have that protective layer, and we're kind of working in reverse here, what goes down first shows up first, and then everything that goes on top of it will show up behind it. So you can go right over what you've already done to just make sure that you get that full coverage. And then we always want to make sure we let the decal dry in between each layer. So again, I move back to my stamping. As you can see here, these clear blocks work beautifully, so you can line up everything exactly where you want it to go. So I'm working with these tiny little images, and I want to line them up with my previously stamped images. So watch here as I press this down and start to pull it up. The image doesn't come off cleanly. So I just keep pushing back down, back and forth, and pulling up gently, not ever losing full contact with the nail, until I get the image to lay down completely. Moving back to my decal, I'm going to give one final coat of the Sèche Vite quick dry top coat and set that aside one last time to dry before we apply it to the nail. Then using the same top coat, I go through and coat all of the nails that I had previously stamped. Now I don't do the top coat on the thumb yet, and you'll see why here shortly. So these are the nail art stickers from Maniology, and I'm going to use these in conjunction with the stamping to get a really pretty complete look. So I just choose what I want, and in this case I wanted feathers to hang off of that dream catcher. So instead of using the entire sticker in one, I cut off the smaller pieces so that I could get them placed exactly where I want them. You don't have to use the entire sticker together, which I know a lot of people don't think of, but it works beautifully to cut them up into the pieces that you need and place them exactly where you want them to be. So the easiest way to get these stickers off is to just grab it on the back of your nail, let it sit right on the edge, and transfer it over onto the image. Now moving back to the decal, you just peel it right off the stamper. Because the stamper was circular, I did have to kind of flip it backwards. I positioned it onto the nail to see where I wanted it to be. Then I go in with that layer of quick dry top coat, which is why I didn't go in with it previously, because we need it to be wet. Then you press down everywhere. Then go in with some acetone on a cleanup brush and just kind of melt those edges right off. You also want to make sure you're wiping off your brush in between, just to make sure that you're getting a clean look. Then one last coat of the quick dry top coat, and I'm again using that cleanup brush just to get the perfected look. When using a quick dry top coat, it can smear your image as it did with mine, so I just use that acetone and gently clean up the smeared areas. Now the image is protected because of that quick dry top coat layer, so if you just go around it gently, it'll just pick up those smeared layers and it won't ruin your image at all. Now we're just going to go through and peel off all of that latex cuticle guard. I started by trying to roll and peel it off, but it was getting kind of stuck, so you'll see here in just a moment that I end up popping the nails off to remove the latex, and that worked so much better. But obviously if you're not using a practice hand, you can't do that, so just be gentle, and it comes off of real skin very easily, so your work will be a lot easier when doing it on yourself or a client or a friend. So that's it, guys. Here's the finished product, the nail decal and the stamped images. I hope you got some good tips. Leave a comment, let me know what you thought. If you liked it, please give it a like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!